Okay, to get a better video on the troubleshooting here, you can do this while this CDM sits in the pocket on the 93 to 96. If you have the 90 to 92 Corvette, you can watch the removal video for this to 3 minutes. That will give you access from the side panel to take a look at these connectors for what we need to take a look at. Now the CDM is the center of the whole system. Power comes to this unit. This is what everyone calls the stereo, is pretty much a glorified wired remote control. The CDM has two connectors on one side that are incorporated into the vehicle along with the two on the back of the radio itself. The audio connectors, the blue and white here on the side, go out to your Bose amplifiers. And you can have a slew of different problems. You can have the radio not powering up, you can have the radio powering up, everything looks good, there's no power antenna, the Bose amplifiers are not turning on. And to get past some of these questions as to which could be bad, I'm going to show you how to check power to the CDM here. And this is the brains of the system, and if this is getting its power or if it's not getting its power, it narrows down the problems here. So this CDM has three or several connectors. On one side here, you have the two connectors that go to the head unit. On the opposite side, you have the antenna and usually three connectors, although there are 4 spots for connectors. Now these connectors are keyed, so you can't put them back in into the wrong spot or into the 4th spot. So they only go back one way, which will, they don't need to be marked. If you have the 4th connector, that one's usually for the rear-mounted 10 or 12 CD changer. But if the system is dead and you don't know if this is getting power, you've checked all the fuses in the car and you wonder what could be the problem, we're going to see if power is getting to the CDM. So we're going to set our voltmeter up to 12 volts DC. We're going to get our negative lead, and to get things out of the way here, these connectors have little triggers on them. The blue one is for the rear speakers. We're going to push this trigger down on the top just to remove this to get it out of the way. We'll also see if there was any water damage in the car when you move these connectors around. Sometimes the wire flies out. Write down the color codes in their order if you find a replacement connector. The white one also has a trigger on the bottom on this one, but this will wiggle free and remove and come out of the way. The amplifiers all work independently, so you can disconnect one, disconnect two. It does not harm the system in any way. So now we're down to the black connector. This connector can be accessed from the side on the Corvette or down through the pocket. This also works for the Cadillac once you locate this unit, and some of the GMC and Chevy pickup trucks with a powered CDM. So we're going to start with volts DC, and we're going to take our negative lead and place it right on the case. The case should be ground. Ground can come in through the antenna lead, and ground can also come in through this black connector. So this most likely should be ground, the case. So we're going to take our meter. These connectors can have different colored wires in them. On this particular connector I have the first wire closest to the antenna, jack. The first wire closest to the antenna jack is an orange wire. And I am going to put my meter into the connector at this orange wire, and we should have 12 volts. Now this first 12 volts is a constant 12 volts to the radio. This one I've seen be several different things. I think on the 93 it's the right hand courtesy lights. If those are out, then you know that there could be that fuse. But this will cause no power at all to the radio. You won't get clock or anything if this one's missing. Now the second wire in this connector is yellow on this particular one, and I have 12 volts here. This 12 volts is present once the ignition is switched on. If this 12 volts is missing, then you want to check the fuse panel again. I believe this one may say radio on it, but again the second one is switched through ignition. And then we're going to go to the third power. On this particular connector, it is green. Now this third power is the most important one. It's the one that comes out of the CDM. It will energize the relay to power the Bose amplifiers, and also the relay to power the power antenna. So once we turn this radio on, we should have 12 volts if it's working. We have 12 volts. Now, there has been 1 or 2 strange problems I have seen on this radio where, in this particular case, the 12 volts does not come up. And if this 12 volts is not present, in many cases, I would say this is a problem with the CDM. It's rare to see the head unit have the problem, but I have seen that have a problem. Now, even though you don't have the 12 volts coming out on the 3rd pin, once the radio is turned on, you should go back and check with the ignition on and so on that the other 2 volts, that the other two 12 volts are still present. Again, I said a rare thing I have seen, that when the radio is turned on, I have seen the switched power, the second one here in the connector, drop out. And when I went back to the fuse had some corrosion on it, cleaned it up, put it back in, and that took the resistance out of the line for this to power up and work. Watch your connectors when removing these. Make sure that they don't have water damage and so on. If you have any other questions, please take a look at the website first. We try to answer quite a bit there. But we can be reached by email or give us a call. Hope this video has been helpful. Please subscribe, and thank you for watching.